Okay guys, so today's video is going to be a wee bit different, and I wanted to cover some of what I would consider the worst beauty sins out there. And it's not just mistakes that people make, say, with their makeup and stuff. These are things that people do sometimes unknowingly that can actually damage their skin and damage, you know, their looks and stuff in the long term. So I'm going to start off with my first deadly beauty sin. So numero uno would be sleeping in makeup. This has always been a pet peeve of mine, just because so many people do it. They know it's bad for them, and they still do it. But I've done it maybe, I'd say I could count on both hands anyhow the amount of times I've done it in my life. I haven't done it very often, but anytime I do it, I always break out, and I'll get these annoying lumps. So I'll get a few big, say, whiteheads or whatever, but I'll also get just bumpy texture all over my skin, and it looks terrible. It just looks really horrible and crap for a few days, up to a week even afterwards. So the way to get around this is just always leave face wipes beside your bed. I know sometimes if you've had a really long hard night, it can just be way too much work to go and do the whole cleanse, tone and moisturize thing at night. So like worst case scenario, just use face wipes or like sensitive baby wipes, and even if you're lying on the bed half dead with your eyes asleep, just try and get most of it off, because your skin will definitely thank you in the morning, because it just gets so clogged and dirty. And not only that, you're transferring dirt onto your pillow, which is going back onto your face and stuff like that. So definitely sleeping in your makeup, no, definitely the first thing I would say to stop doing. Then my second deadliest beauty sin, and this is another thing I'm guilty of, is picking spots. I've been really bad with this in the past, and it's so bad. And one thing I've noticed as I get older is when I do pick a spot, which I very rarely do anymore, or I try to do a lot less anyhow, I'm left at the mark for much longer than I ever was in the past. So, and I can find that the marks that the picking of the spots leave can nearly look worse than the spots did in the first place. Now for me, it was kind of not a nervous thing. It was like if I was a bit stressed or anything like that, I'd pick. It's kind of like that, but I've gotten a lot better at it now. And I have this wee contraption here, which I got from the Body Shop, and it kind of looks like a crocheting needle or something like that. But basically I sanitize this with alcohol. If I see a spot, I lay it down against you know, the spot will be in the middle, in the little hole, and then there's even pressure going around the spot. So when you press it down, as long as the spot is ready to come up, because sometimes spots aren't ready to come up, it'll come up much easier, and then you just drag it down and it'll kind of pull it out. So if you do want to go at spots, get either this, or else just use like tissue on your hands if you think it's going to be like, if you do think it's actually going to come out. Otherwise, leave them alone, because like I said, the marks they leave can be 10 times worse than the spots themselves. And some people will find that when they're older, the marks like pretty much never go. Some people are left with those marks forever. Now there are, of course, creams and lotions you can use to help with spots. So I like the Normaderm Hyalu Spot, I can never pronounce that, Hyalu Spot, which is a treatment you just leave on, so it goes on almost like a gel, and that dries them out basically and gets rid of the germs. And then the Effaclar Duo, this is the Effaclar Duo Plus by La Roche-Posay. This clears up spots, so it's kind of like a chemical exfoliant, and so if I do break out, this is what I go for. And I've definitely been enjoying clear skin lately, but if I do see a spot coming, I just leave it. I don't go at it anymore. My third deadly beauty sin would be not wearing a sunblock. Now this is one of these things that you might notice the damage straight away. It's accumulative. I can never say that word either. The damage is something that will happen underneath the surface without you knowing, and then in years to come you'll see that you might have way more lines, and like there are some damage starts from our childhood and our teens and stuff like that. And one of the thing I've noticed when dealing with older clients, so many of them will say that their biggest beauty regret is not having been more careful in the sun and wearing sunblock. And it's not just about lines and like wrinkles and stuff like that, it's also the biggest cancer, like UV rays is also the biggest cancer cause, particularly here in Ireland. People are just desperate for going out and wanting to get every last little bit of sun as soon as it comes, which I can understand, of course, but you know, skin cancer is rampant here in Ireland, which is, you know, it can be so easily avoided. And then people do say, oh, but we're not getting enough vitamin C. You just need to get maybe 10 to 15 minutes of like sun into your skin a day, not a full day of lying out in the sun. And what I would say is always cover your face. your face will be the first place to show aging and stuff like that. So let the vitamin D go into your arms and your hands and stuff like that. Even though hands will show aging as well, but there are other body parts that can absorb the vitamin D. Let your face just be totally protected so that, you know, you're not going to get unnecessary fine lines and wrinkles as you get older. So definitely start wearing your sunblock. Minimum 15 to 20. I nearly always wear 25, 30 on like regular days, and I'd go up to 50 then when I'm out in the sun. Then my fourth beauty sin is not washing makeup brushes, particularly foundation brushes. So I see a lot of people and they'll complain about their brushes like being a little bit mucky and not working very well and stuff like that, and then when I ask how often they're washing them, they'll just be like, oh, not very often, or they haven't washed them in a while. It's so important to wash your makeup brush, especially when you're using like cream or powder or liquid formulas. Anything tacky or sticky will attract germs in the air, and particularly like bacteria thrives on like the slightly more damp areas. So you're just, every time you use it after not washing it, say, you are just inviting so much more bacteria back onto your face, and it's so bad for your skin, particularly if you have spots or anything like that. You could imagine like if you do have a spot in your face and you use your makeup brush, the germ is going from this, you know, the germs from your spots is going onto the brush, but you're also spreading it around, and then the next time you use it, those germs are still there, you're putting it back onto your face. So even if your spot is gone the next day, you could easily just get another one because you're putting it back. And another thing I really grosses me out is when you see dirty brushes left in makeup bags like that. It's the worst thing you can do because you're contaminating the bag and the brush is just getting dirtier and dirtier. So really you should be washing your brushes after every use. It shouldn't be a huge mad rigmarole of like deep cleaning with you know, with water and stuff like that. Even just get an instant cleaner, or like the MAC brush cleanser or something like that, or just use alcohol, pure like 70% alcohol. That'll be fine in a pinch, and it dries instantly because it's alcohol. So definitely start cleaning your brushes, people, because your skin will thank you for it, and your brushes will thank you for it as well. My fifth deadliest beauty sin would be applying too much foundation, and I see this as well where people use full coverage foundations and they don't realise that you don't need much of them to get the really full coverage. They still kind of put on quite a lot and it just looks so mask-like. And I can understand like people want to covering up skin imperfections and stuff like that, but too much foundation is actually very unattractive. It ages people, and I can understand when you're like a teenager or, you know, you're younger, you want to look a bit older, that's fine, but you still, you know, you have gorgeous skin generally at that age. And if you don't have gorgeous skin, don't rely on your foundation for the coverage. Rely on your foundation to even out skin tone, and then you use your concealers and your corrective concealers to cover up spots and imperfections, and again your skin will thank you for it as well. It just looks so much healthier, and it just looks better when you don't have a heavy covering of foundation on. So definitely try using less foundation and more concealer if you need to, but another thing is your powder will sit much better over a face that has less foundation on it as well, because powder just tends to cake over a heavy base. Okay, my sixth deadliest sin then is over plucking or waxing the eyebrows, and I mean over waxing. So waxing should only really ever be done in the eyebrow areas when you're shaping them, and then to maintain the shape you should either thread or use plucking. The reason behind this is that when you wax, it not only pulls your hairs, but it pulls all the skin along with your hair. So that over time, if you're doing that every single time you're going to get your eyebrows done, can mean that your skin is getting pulled and loosened, and you'll find that some ladies who do get their eyebrows waxed like for a long time will notice a slacking of the skin here, and there's nothing really you can do to reverse that once it's done apart from surgery. So definitely, if your beautician comes at you with the waxing strips every time, ask her to stop and just to use like pluckers, tweezers or thread. Some people, I know beauticians do this sometimes because it's quicker, it's a time saver, but for your own sakes, just speak up and ask them not to do it. And another thing is tweezing too much. Well, tweezing too much in general, like over plucking, but particularly when you see people who pluck on the inner sections here because I suppose they think it might be a little bit bushy looking, or they're worried that, or they want to kind of get that wide-eyed look, which gives a more youthful appearance or whatever. But don't pluck too much from the inner corner, because often when the damage is done and you want to, you know, reverse it, it can damage the follicles. So that's one thing about plucking. Sometimes it can do more damage than anything else, so try not pluck too much on the inside as well. And then for my final number 7 deadly sin for today, it would be definitely not washing your face in the morning. And this is interesting because I already spoke about not washing your face at night, but the reason this is, a lot of people wouldn't know that it's going to be doing any damage. It's not really doing damage, it's just that even when you're dry, you usually have a little bit of oil accumulate throughout the night, because that's when your face goes into repair mode and all the good things start to happen, and it starts to, you know, any damage that was done throughout the night, throughout the day, it starts to repair. And the way our face protects itself and prepares itself is by excreting oil onto our face, and this mixes in with the hydration or the water in our face, and then it creates this hydrolipid barrier, which is our protective barrier. Now, this hydrolipid barrier, which, you know, there is oil sitting on your face, it's a good thing because it protects the skin underneath, but it also means that other products can't get in through it. So if you wake up in the morning, particularly for anyone, this is more so for people who are oily or combination oily, you have a little bit of like a shine or whatever in the morning. Some people will just splash their face with water in the morning, or yeah, that's pretty much it. Some people don't even wash their face, and you know, they think in the shower just running their face under it. That won't actually move the oil. If you think about when you're washing dishes and you have a greasy plate, if you just run cold water on it or even warm water on it, it won't get rid of it. You need to use the soap and the washing up liquid to actually get rid of it. It's kind of the same with your face. And the reason it's not a good thing is because when you put your lotions and your potions and your creams and stuff on top of your face, they can't penetrate oil. Oil is the hardest thing to penetrate, particularly, obviously water can't penetrate oil. Now oil can penetrate water, but not the other way around. So it's just kind of essentially means that you're wasting your products. They're not going to be able to work the way they should, particularly with sunscreen, and that's very important. You don't want to be putting on sunscreen and not working, or any like water-based products. Again, like I said, they won't be able to penetrate. So make sure you don't have to do a full face wash like you would at night when you're taking off your makeup. Even just use a toner, something that will be able to remove the excess oil on your face, or just a very light like cleansing water or something like that. It doesn't have to be a big deal, but if you want the rest of your products to work properly, you need to start off with a fresh face. So I really want to know what you guys's deadly kind of beauty sins are. I may do a follow-up video to this, but I love hearing people's opinions when it comes to this stuff, and these are the kind of articles that I love to read in magazines and online and stuff like that. So tell me if you agree or even disagree with any of these. I love hearing your opinions, of course as long as they're kept respectful, and let me know what you think. So thanks a million for watching, guys, and I'll chat to you all really soon. Slán!